A Touch of Ruin and A Game of Retribution. Let me tell you why you should read this. Now, if you haven't read these, you need to start with A Touch of Darkness and A Game of Fate. Of course, these are happening at the same time, just like those two were, and the next two are. So you got Persephone's point of view and you got Hades' point of view. And in this one, it really pushed. This one's a little bit slower than the first one, A Touch of Darkness, but the story is really good because you got the story of Apollo. But it's happening what the story is happening between the tension and the feud between Persephone and Hades, and you don't really get to hear Hades' point of view so much. Of course, you're not going to because Hades' point of view is in this, but Hades is brought forward a little bit more in A Touch of Darkness, where it's not brought as much into this one. So it makes you really want to get into A Game of Retribution to know what's going on with Hades, of course, because he's going to be really pissed off at Apollo in this. Now you don't have Zeus and Poseidon, his brothers, too much in this one, even if at all. What you got going on in this one is Lexi's story with so her friend Loki, who comes back, who really isn't her friend, but she ends up becoming her friend, and then you get a really big tension between what goes on with that towards the end of the story. Now I got a couple more chapters to wrap up this one, so I can jump into this one, but you got the feud between what's going on between Hades and Persephone because of Loki. And then you have, of course, what's going on with Lexi, which I'm not going to tell you because Lexi is a big part of this story. And then what happens with Apollo. Now, Apollo already comes into the story, but he makes the tension a lot bigger because of what he does with Lexi and Persephone, this whole thing going on. And then you have the Siren, who also comes from Apollo, another one that becomes or is um, Persephone's friend, and then you still got the tension between her and her mother, Demeter. This story is really, really good because then when you go to the underground, you got the great relationship between her and Hecate. So there's so many relationships and so much stuff going on with this story that even that it's a little bit slower than the first one, the story is great and the way it spreads out with each relationship between each person, her boss, Demeter, Hecate, Aphrodite. I mean, all this is going on in this story, which makes it a really, really good story. This knocks Neon Gods way, way, way out the water. Like, if you like Neon Gods, I don't understand how you do like Neon Gods, but whatever. You need to jump into this story because this is a really, really good modern story of Persephone and Hades and the tension between these two. Now, you got Hades who wants to marry her, and you'll find out a little bit in this book, but you know that's going to come in a touch of malice. That's where the marriage, I believe, is going to take place. And it's going to build up because she's still learning her power. And in order for her to be queen, which he wants her to be queen, you know, she's still got to learn all this and learn who she wants to be. And I have a feeling that's going to come more in a touch of malice. And then the feud, of course, because you're going to have the feud between Apollo right now, which is going to lead into Zeus and Poseidon and everybody else, all these other gods, which I think you're going to get in A Game of Gods. And then, of course, the new one that just came out, A Touch of Chaos, which wraps the story up. So I usually go back and forth between, but I'm ready to wrap this series up, not because I dislike it, but because I like it so much. I want to know what's going on with this story. And I believe you should read it. This is definitely a 5-star read. So far, it hasn't let me down. I haven't went down on it, 4-star, 3-star, nothing. It stayed 5-star with me. I really like it, and I really like how you get both point of views because you kind of want to know what's going on with Hades over here while Persephone's doing all this. So you can get both point of views, and that way you're not just, oh, I'm picking her over him or him over her. You get to know both and what's going on. But I can't wait to wrap this up. Like I said, I'm almost done with this one. I want to jump into Game of Retribution now, and which is going to lead me into the Game of Gods. But you got so much stories going on, and Lexi and Loki and all of them are a big thing right now. And this is Apollo's story, not Apollo's story, but Apollo's like your main villain type in this story. So you should check it out if you haven't checked it out. Remember, grab A Touch of Darkness, and a Game of Fate. If you haven't read these ones, read those two first to learn the beginning of the story. Other than that, I'll let you know when I finish this and jump into A Game of Retribution. I'll see you on the next one.